Okay, hi, welcome back. I've got the mic again, which tell me, a single person tell me how you feel about it or if you have feelings at all about it. Today is a video where I kind of want to rant a little bit, but also I want to give some actual expertise, some context, if you will. If you don't know anything about Sonos, they are a huge multi-room, multi-speaker audio company. They started years and years and years ago with one of the first smart speakers that connected to Wi-Fi, and so that you could play a bunch of different things from different services. And largely, people like them. Audiophiles turn their noses. Your everyday mom and pop just listen on their tiny little their little Alexa dot. For the people kind of in the middle, we love and use Sonos. I have had Sonos speakers for years. I love them. They're really fun for parties. They're really fun for just cooking and being at home. And I love being able to play music throughout my home. And for the most part, it's been a pretty seamless experience. There's some weird stuff, there's some Wi-Fi connectivity, but once you get it set up, it's like moving and grooving. And so Sonos, a couple months ago, decided to start teasing a new app. The app that they have is fine, but it was a little clunky. And they were like, this is going to be a totally new design. It's the new future of the app and our products. And I was excited. I don't think I've mentioned this before, but I am a UX designer as a job. I liked the screenshots that they were showing. It seemed to be promising. And the app that Sonos had was relatively consistent. It was a bit slow and it took a lot of taps to get everywhere. So Sonos said, you know what? We're going to streamline that. We're going to start from literally ground zero. We're going to redo the entire app, which when I read this, I was like, that's an interesting choice. Why are you rebuilding an app from the ground up when it kind of is just a UI refresh? So when I first downloaded the app, I was like, okay, this is fun. I like some of the updates and also a lot's missing. And why did they make these decisions? And wait, I've been using it for days now and it's actually kind of confusing. And I am not the only one. People hate this app. They hate it so much. And the reason why is not because they don't like the way it looks, and it's mainly not because they don't like the way it works. Sonos removed a ton of features to get this app out the door for their new headphones that are coming out, and it's believed that this app is needed to make those headphones work. So they rushed a product out the door and has alienated so much of their existing user base just to get out headphones, which is already a risky bet because the headphone market is already so competitive. So it already is a little recipe for disaster. I'll just walk you through what people think on Reddit. Hey Sonos, go fuck yourselves. First of all. Second of all, admit defeat and give us back the old trash app that wasn't as trashed as the current app. Your entire user base is turning on you. Give us the option to go back/download the previous app until y'all fix the shit show that y'all released. Adding songs to the queue on the new Sonos app. How do I do it? The answer is you don't. I'll get into it. You cannot add songs to the queue. They have a music app where you cannot add songs to the queue. The new app is worse than the old app and Sonos needs to be slapped. I need to rant because holy fuck, the app hard locks onto one specific room. And if you want to play a single fucking song in room 2, it'll randomly revert to room 1, even though I manually deselected it. And finally, even the Sonos chat system on their help website knows that the app sucks. The new app is fucking shit. I know a thing or two about that. Bruh. Sonos actually had to provide a statement. And in the statement, they said, redesigning the Sonos app is an ambitious undertaking that represents just how seriously we are committed to invention and reinvention. It takes courage to rebuild a brand's core product from the ground up and to do so knowing it may require taking a few steps back to ultimately leap into the future. I don't care if you guys don't know design or if you don't know tech. I can tell you this right now, you don't need to do this. This is not the way that they should have done this. I think that they wanted to package a bunch of updates and UI refresh to attract a new audience with a new product that's going to be a lot more accessible and probably more popular than at-home plug-in speakers. So rebuilding the app makes no sense. And the way that they did it and the timeline that they gave themselves is crazy. So we're going to go through a couple examples of what's so crazy about this. Okay, so when you load up into the app, you are greeted with your home with all of the music that you play and the music services that you've connected. You have a search bar and the music controls at the bottom, which all of this is great. I love being able to do a bunch of different things in one view without having to tap around. What is a little confusing and where the little UI UX craziness begins is that this interface at the back with all of your music is kind of like your ground level of the house. There's nothing lower than it. That is like the surface. So then you can see that the search bar is floating above the surface. So if I tap that search bar, it pops up. I can search. We love that. We can see that now instead of my home name, it says Sonos with a back button. So I should be able to tap that and we go back. Now, if I'm in search, we also see this little tab up at the top which tells me that this is an element on top of the surface of the app. And so I could probably, right, just drag that down and it goes away. But you never see it like disappear fully. It just blinks out about halfway on the screen, which for an average user could be a little confusing because you might not know exactly what you just did. Like, has anybody ever described anything to their parents before ever? A disappearing surface, a disappearing little pop-up is never going to be their friend. So then I open playback controls and it pops up from the bottom of the screen. And I have the album art without rounded corners, which if we're going rounded, I don't know why they made that choice. And then I have all of my controls there, which is great. In the bottom left corner, I have a Q button. And if I hit that, I see a queue that I cannot edit. They remove the ability to add things to the queue and reorder the queue, which makes no sense in a music playback app. And then you have the more button in the bottom right corner. And if you tap this, another surface opens. So now we're like 3 stories up. So there really is nothing very interesting here, but the Apple Music icon and name are just oddly kind of small and they only has one option. So I honestly don't know why they would have included it like that, but I could swipe down, get rid of it, swipe down again, get back to home. Now, if I wanted to change where the music is playing, I hit the speaker button in the bottom right corner. So when I hit that, I see all of my speakers for my house and I can choose different rooms. But if you look to the left, all of the icons are the same, but all of those speakers are different models and look very differently. So why include an icon at all if they're all going to be the same? So now if we want to adjust a setting, this is where a lot of features have gone missing. So you actually now have the ability to add alarms again. That was gone. Accessibility in the app is completely shot. Screen readers have a very hard time with the app. That won't even get fixed until later this summer. But the main thing that's an issue is local library management and sleep timers. So if I go into settings, I can see my entire system. And before you were able to set sleep timers from here or from the now playing screen. So you could play music at a certain time and then it goes off 30 minutes later, which you would think, especially in a family with kids, perhaps is really important because it's how the kids go to sleep. For whatever reason, that functionality just doesn't exist anymore. And the functionality to really manage your local music library doesn't exist. I stream all of my music, but if I owned thousands of tracks over the last 30 years, you can imagine exactly how mad people are because of this change, because this is how they play their music and all of a sudden they can't play it in the same way that they used to. So now that I'm in settings, I actually want to show you another UI thing that's just weird. It's UX, UI, it's everything. If I go into my system settings and then I tap into one of my speakers, another panel opens to the right. So now I've got multiple things I could do. I could drag this whole panel down, which kind of works. I could hit the Sonos or the back button, or I could slide from the side of the screen and then get back within this pop-up. And the thing that drives me crazy about this app is that the design is so wild that they would do these floating layers on top of each other and not do it right. And what I mean by that is, okay, I've opened system settings and I'm at like a higher elevation. It's got a curve, it's gray right up at the top. I can go back to my Sonos by hitting that at the top. At the bottom where my music controls are, you can see that that card that I'm interacting with is separated. So right now, in the little gap to the left and right, you can see that there's nothing behind this surface, which is inherently confusing. They should have just continued this car all the way behind your now playing screen. So now your now playing controls would be always at the top, but they didn't do that. And I think they just went crazy with rounded corners for kind of no reason. Those are just some of the weird things I wanted to show you guys. The reason why I wanted to make this video is that it blows my mind that a huge company like Sonos exists where getting a job in tech is very difficult, especially in design. And when you come out with an app update, you've made some UI changes kind of that look nicer. It looks more modern. And then you ruin almost half of the functionality of the app and then make the app confusing to navigate and make weird UI decisions. I don't know who in the company was in charge of this or how long it took, because if I guess, they probably just did it in the last 2 months and didn't put much thought into it. And Sonos is really paying the price. Their new headphones are launching this week. They needed this app to be a big win. They needed this to move the headphones to the next space and start to create a much larger ecosystem, which they actually just kind of shot themselves in the foot by calling this design courageous and not rolling it back and not seeming to do any testing on it. On Reddit, there is a thread from Keith from Sonos. He is a Sonos employee that is in the Reddit thread, and I feel so bad for him. So Keith from Sonos, we love you. He had to put an entire list out that he's updating of what features they're working on and what features are coming soon. Most of the features that were included in the old app that didn't look that different aren't coming out until the middle or end of this summer. So all of a sudden, for a new product launching, we as existing consumers and customers have to deal with like a worse experience for months. Especially if you need a screen reader or you have a visual disability, you cannot use this app the same way that you did before. And especially for that type of user, music is even more important because it might be one of the only things that they can consistently enjoy. The entire thing was just botched. Obviously, this is a growing moment for Sonos, and I hope that other companies learn from this. I don't think that they deserve like 1,000,000% of hate. Like, people on Reddit are losing their minds. But I do think that it's an important discussion to have, because nowadays, when all of our products run on software that we do not control and really have no ability to change, company like Sonos making a botched app update actually really affects hundreds or thousands of dollars of products that you bought. I would just suggest, I would not say don't buy Sonos products, but I would suggest really thinking about what you want and how much consistency you want from your home brands or your smart brands or your tech companies. Seemingly what looked like a great upgrade coming from Sonos ended up being a huge headache for us and for them. I just kind of wanted to walk you guys through what I thought was crazy about this app. Everybody's been talking about it, at least in my little tech sphere, and I just wanted to bring it to YouTube in case you have Sonos products and you don't know what's going on, or you're looking at buying them and maybe you should hold off for a minute because this app is a little crazy and a lot of times I can't connect to my speakers. So if Sonos is listening, hi Sonos, please fix this and don't make this mistake again, because this is wild. This is wild. With that, I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.